He chose her, so I disappeared. The night was quieter than usual, and the rain tapped gently on the windows like a soft reminder that some storms begin without thunder. The apartment felt colder that evening, not from the weather, but from the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. The scent of his cologne still lingered on the pillow beside me, but his warmth had already vanished. He was late again, and this time I didn't even bother to call. Our relationship had always been passionate, filled with laughter, kisses stolen in empty hallways, and promises whispered in the dark. I remembered how he once looked at me like I was the only star in his sky. But something had changed. His eyes no longer lingered. His hugs became shorter. His smile more distant. I wasn't naive. I knew what was happening. One day I noticed the subtle shift. He started checking his phone more often. He'd smile at messages he wouldn't let me see. He said he was tired more often, didn't want to go out, didn't touch me like before. And then came the name, the one from his past. The one he swore he no longer thought about. It was like being replaced while still standing in the same room. I became invisible, a shadow of the woman who once held his heart. He didn't even hide it much anymore. One night, after avoiding my touch and making excuses, he said the words that broke my soul into silence. She came back. That was it. Not a confession, not an apology. Just a simple statement, like it was normal for a man to choose his past over the woman who stood by him when he was at his lowest. I stood frozen, the tears already stinging behind my eyes. I wanted to scream, to beg, to ask why. But instead I smiled, only, coldly, and said, I hope she was worth it. He didn't chase after me when I left. He didn't stop me from packing my things. He watched as I zipped up the memories we had built together and left them behind like old clothes. The hardest part wasn't leaving. It was knowing he wouldn't come after me. He vanished. Not just from his life, but from everyone's. I deleted social media, changed my number, moved to a city where no one knew my face or the sound of my laugh. The hunger for answers ate at me for weeks. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kissed no one, trusted no one. Love felt like poison on my skin. I tried to rebuild myself. Slowly, quietly. In that loneliness, I found the voice I had lost. I began writing again, dancing under the moonlight when no one was watching, smiling at strangers who had no idea that my heart had been shattered into pieces I no longer knew how to gather. I met new people, but I gave no one access to my heart. That part was closed for renovation. Indefinitely. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Then one day a message came through. From someone who didn't know I had vanished. They said he was asking about me. That he looked thinner, quieter, more broken than the last time they saw him. I laughed bitterly. Broken. Wasn't he the one who broke me? Apparently, his ex had left again. Surprise. She got bored, or maybe she just came to reclaim what wasn't hers to begin with. He realized too late that love isn't about nostalgia. It's about who stands beside you when life hurts the most. But by then I was gone. He started calling old friends, trying to trace where I went. He cried in front of people who never saw him show emotion before. He told them he made a mistake. That he missed me. That he dreamt of me. That every night. He touched the side of the bed where I used to sleep and wished I was still there. But I wasn't. The girl he once loved had been buried beneath betrayal. In her place stood a woman who had learned how to smile through heartbreak. Who had tasted pain and didn't let it define her. Who had learned that silence could be more powerful than 1,000 words. Then one evening I found myself walking through a small bookstore in my new city. And there he was. He looked older. Not in years but in spirit. His eyes searched my face with desperation, and I could see the hunger for forgiveness dancing behind them. My heart didn't race. My knees didn't weaken. I had rehearsed this moment so many times in my mind, but none of those versions matched the stillness I felt now. He whispered my name like it was a prayer. I didn't respond. I've been looking for you, he said softly. Everywhere. I tilted my head, my voice calm. Too bad. I was here all along, just not for you anymore. He stepped closer, the pain in his face undeniable. I made the worst mistake of my life. You did, I replied. I was confused. No. You were selfish. He nodded, broken. I thought she still meant something to me. And now? Yes. She means nothing. You meant everything. I was just too blind to see it. Silence fell between us like a curtain. He reached out, hoping to touch my hand. I stepped back. You taught me how to love, I whispered. And then you taught me how to lose myself. But now I've learned how to find peace. And peace means knowing that you don't get to hurt me again. His eyes filled with tears. Please, give me a chance. One more chance. I looked at him for a long time. The man I once loved. The man who broke me. The man who only cried when I disappeared. You had your chance, I said. You let it go. And with that I walked away. At high. Heart healing. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to hurt him the way he hurt me. His regret was punishment enough. But deep down a part of me still wondered, what if this wasn't the end? He cried when I disappeared. But I didn't return. I didn't look back after that night at the bookstore. Walking away from him felt like closing a chapter one once clung to with bleeding fingers. But now my hands were clean. My soul was quiet. And my heart, well, it was slowly beating its own rhythm again, one not tied to betrayal. But he didn't stop. Days later, I started receiving handwritten letters, slipped under my apartment door, each one raw, painful, full of regret. He poured his guilt into every word. He told stories of empty nights, of reaching out in sleep only to wake alone. He wrote about the silence of the apartment we once shared, how he sometimes cooked for 2 out of habit and cried over dishes he couldn't finish. He begged, but I never replied. He began leaving flowers outside my building, my favorites. He remembered the details, the small things, the scent of jasmine I wore, the song I used to hum while doing laundry, the way I liked my coffee, extra strong, no sugar, no cream. He waited outside the cafe I now visited, standing across the street, never approaching, just watching, hoping. One day, I saw him standing in the rain for over an hour, not even trying to shield himself, just waiting, drenched, shivering, eyes filled with hope and heartbreak. I almost gave in. Almost. But then I remembered the cold silence of those nights I cried alone, asking myself why I wasn't enough. I remembered the way he said, she came back, like it was out of his control, like he was the victim. I wasn't going to lose myself again for a man who didn't choose me when it mattered most. Still, the wound reopened every time I saw him. I hated him for hurting me. But I hated myself more for still caring. And then came the twist. One evening, while volunteering at a local community event, a stranger approached me. Woman. Beautiful. Voice. She looked at me with eyes that carried pain I recognized instantly. She spoke slowly. I was her. The one he left you for. My breath caught. She continued. He said I was the love of his life. That he'd never stop thinking about me. That you were just someone who helped him get over me. That stung like acid on an open wound. But he lied, she said. He lied to both of us. I stared at her, shocked. My stomach twisted with nausea. She sat down beside me. I didn't come to argue. Came to apologize. I believed him. He convinced me that you were nothing. That he had always waited for me. So I took him back. And I thought I won. Tears welled in her eyes. But I didn't win. I got the broken parts of him. The guilt-ridden silences. The way he cried your name in his sleep. He never let me in. He made love to me with your memory still clinging to his skin. He tried to love me, but he loved you. My hands trembled. He broke me too, she said. So I left. She handed me a small envelope. This is for you. I found it under his pillow the night I left. It's the letter he never had the courage to send. She walked away before I could say a word. I opened the envelope with shaking fingers. Inside, the letter wasn't long. but every word was a storm. I thought I was chasing a memory, but I was really running from the truth. You were never a temporary fix. You were home. I left the very thing I had spent my life looking for. And I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope you never forget the love we shared, even if you never give it to me again. Because I will carry it with me until my last breath. That night I cried. Not because I missed him, but because it finally ended. The confusion, the wondering, the ache for closure. Got it. And for the first time in months I breathed freely. But just when I thought the story had reached its last page, fate decided to write one more. One stormy night, I was walking home when I heard a commotion near the corner store. A man was collapsed on the sidewalk. People gathered around. An ambulance siren screamed in the distance. I pushed through the crowd, and my heart stopped. It was him. Bill. Barely conscious. His lips moved, whispering something no one could understand. I knelt beside him, grabbed his hand, and for a moment, just a moment, I wasn't angry anymore. His eyes opened slightly, and when they saw me, they widened. His dry lips whispered one word. Finally! And he passed out. He was taken to the hospital. A heart issue. Stress. Fatigue. Dehydration. He had been living like a ghost. Alone. Barely eating. Searching for me in every corner of a city that didn't want to give me back. I stayed at the hospital for hours. I didn't know why. Maybe for closure. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe because love, no matter how bruised, doesn't die easily. When he woke, I was about to leave. He caught my hand. Weakly. Quietly. I'm sorry. I know, I whispered. But I don't deserve you. No, you don't. Silence. Will you ever forgive me? He asked, voice trembling. I met his eyes. I already did. But forgiveness doesn't mean you get a second chance. He nodded. Tears slid down his face. I leaned forward, kissed his forehead, not out of love but to set both of us free. Then I walked away. For good this time. Epilogue. Months passed. Life moved on. I started writing a book. About a woman who vanished and a man who learned too late what he'd lost. It became a story of empowerment, healing, and rebirth. People read it and cried. Some said it saved them. Some said it reminded them to never ignore the one who loves them when things get tough. I was no longer hungry for love. I was full with peace, purpose, and power. He once had my heart. But I had something stronger now. Myself. And that was the real ending.